My favorite game of the weekend. And I don't watch the Patriots, obviously. Because the Patriots have been a shell of themselves for since Tom Brady left. They have become literally one of the worst run franchises under Robert Kraft ever since Tom Brady left. You had the stuff with Bill Belichick. They just haven't been a good watch. Last year with Jared Maye, I don't like how they really handled that. But they needed a necessary change. And Mike Vrabel, I have always loved as a coach. I wanted him to be the coach for the Cowboys going into this year. He was like my number one pick. I had him over Bill Belichick. I had him over Dabo Sweeney. I've always loved Mike Vrabel. Because do you know how hard it is to pretty much change a franchise? Get a franchise back on track. It is not easy to do. With a roster in New England that isn't horribly filled with talent, specifically on offense. And, this season, after a couple of games, the offense for the New England Patriots, wasn't the best. They wasn't, great. So that was something that I was pretty worried about. And so, finally, we saw what the Patriots did last week against the Panthers, put up 40 points on offense. We see what they did against the Steelers, and I was like, okay, they've had a little bit of ups and downs through 4 games. But last week they showed promise against the Panthers, specifically Drake Maye. And Kevin Wildes, shout out Kevin Wildes on First Things First, he had a graphic that pretty much was like, here's Josh Allen's season and Drake Maye's season so far. And they're pretty much a wash. They're really identical. So that shows you the MVP and Josh Allen, how he's playing this year. Drake Maye's got the same stats. And it hasn't showed up in, I wouldn't say the box score, but just in the games that's been played. So this was the game I was looking forward to because I'm like, okay, I finally get to sit and consume the Patriots. And I can say, shout out Drake Maye. And this is huge. This is coming from a guy in me, and I can attest to this. I know you guys don't know I've never talked Patriots on my channel, ever. But last year, I always thought Drake Maye was absolutely overrated. I was never in love with him. I was not in love with him at Carolina. It felt like, yes, the arm talent was there, the athleticism, but I feel like he just doesn't throw a consistent football. I don't see him as a franchise quarterback. I don't see him as a leader of men. But maybe something can change. I thought Caleb Williams was better. I thought Jayden Daniels was better. Heck, I thought Bo Nix was better. I just don't. I did not see Drake Maye as the second, third best quarterback in that draft class last year. But man, can I eat crow today? Because Drake Maye yesterday, yeah, that guy's a stud. And this is coming from a guy, I'm a Duke fan, okay? Absolutely despise Carolina. And that's part of the reason why I said what I said about Drake Maye, because I am a certified North Carolina hater. But we got to give some credit to Drake Maye yesterday. He made some big throws. Like that one throw that he made to the sideline, a couple of them, specifically the first one that he made where he threw that 30-yard crossing route to Stefon Diggs, rolling out the pocket, right in the number, that was the throw. And then on the final drive of the game, stiff arming the defender off. He's getting dragged down at the same time and throws the ball right in the chest. That was a big throw. Huge throw. So Drake Maye was making some plays. He had a quarterback rating of 103. And here's an interesting stat about Drake Maye as well. In the second half, he was 13 for 14, 184 yards, 3 huge throws, and he had a passer rating of 119. What do we always say about when it comes to these young quarterbacks? Can they make plays when they need to make plays? Can they be efficient when they need to be efficient? When the bright lights get bright, can they show up? In Buffalo, on Sunday Night Football, from my imagination, this was Drake Maye's first primetime game from the top of my head that I can think of. Your very first primetime game. Division rival. In Buffalo. Whiteout game. All odds stacked against you. You had your team gave up horrific turnovers. Absolutely bad. Like they excuse me. Vrabel in New England, they got to get their fumble problem under wraps, like fast, because they have major fumble problems going on in New England. But you overcome the horrible turnovers, and Drake Maye goes out and puts on that type of performance, leads down a game-winning drive. That's all you can ask in your quarterback. Defensively, the defense played pretty well. Josh Allen had to work for every single throw that he had, so everything was pretty much covered on the back end. Josh Allen, he didn't have a horrible game. The one interception that he threw was bad. Shout out to 27. I think his name was like Marcus Jones. Marcus Jones? What's his name? I'm looking at it. Yeah, Marcus Jones. Yeah, I was right the first time. Marcus Jones, he undercut the route. Phenomenal play. They were able to pretty much maintain James Cook. He didn't really go crazy. He only averaged 3.3 yards a carry. They let Josh Allen scramble a little bit and get some first downs, but they held everybody in check. I mean, they let Dalton Kincaid go crazy for 100 yards, but Shakir didn't do much. Palmer didn't do much. Keon Coleman, he made a big catch near the end of the game to keep the drive alive for the Bills there near the end. But they were on the back end, led by Christian Gonzalez. They played pretty well. And the Patriots, they look like a team that can go on a little playoff run. They really do. If they can get this type of play from Drake Maye, I know Antonio Gibson went out of the game for a knee injury. I did not remember seeing the play. I don't know how serious it is. Antonio Gibson was crying, so I'm guessing it was pretty serious. So you're going to be without him, but you still have Travion Henderson, who has been underutilized very much. And you got Ramondre Stevenson, who has a huge fumble problem. But you have Drake Maye. And if you can get this kind of production out of Stefon Diggs, granted, Stefon Diggs is your best wide receiver coming off of an ACL injury, which is an indictment on the front office of the Patriots, the whole scouting department, anybody who is associated with what's it called? Player personnel coordinator. This is an indictment on you, because Stefon Diggs being your number one receiver is an absolute issue on any roster. But if you can get just a fraction of this type of production from Stefon Diggs, 150 yards catch receiving, yeah, they can be successful. And if they can continue to get the run game going, Travion Henderson averaged 4 yards a carry. They just got to get that going just a little bit. And Kayshon Boutte, I mean, he can make some plays here or there, but if they can continue to play good to pretty great defense like they did last night, and if the offense can just not turn the ball over and score, the Patriots can make the playoffs. But now let's move over to the Bills. The Bills, and it says it in the lower third of mine, this is their first loss to the Patriots in 5 years, roughly. The last time they lost to them were in 2020. But I don't want to... This wasn't a jarring, embarrassing loss like the Eagles had. Both the Eagles and the Bills were undefeated. This loss for me is nowhere near the same stratosphere as the Eagles. I thought they turned the ball over. They wasn't buttoned up. They had a lot of key penalties that were pretty back-breaking. I think Josh Allen, he didn't play horribly bad. Receivers wasn't open. I think they're fine. They didn't play nowhere near as bad as the Eagles. It's just my only thing that concerns me with the Bills is outside of Josh Allen, who do you have that is like, who is your CeeDee Lamb on offense? Who is your A.J. Brown on offense? Who is your Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs? They don't have that type of player. You got James Cook, but he's not very utilized in the past game. For some odd reason, I don't understand why. But as far as the receiving core, Khalil Shakir, he's okay. He's nobody you're scared about, and you have the scheme again. Same thing with Keon Coleman. Keon Coleman is a guy that they've possibly wanted to get going, but he has not been able to get going into the potential that they would have liked him to be. Dalton Kincaid, he's good, but he just doesn't scare you. But that's my only thing with the Bills. The Bills, they don't have that player outside of Josh Allen that's like, yep, we need to game plan for this guy. And it's very alarming. I want the Bills are my Super Bowl pick out of the AFC. I want the Bills to go to the Super Bowl. I love Josh Allen. I love how he's played. The fan base deserves it. It's just, it feels good for football if the Bills win the Super Bowl. But I don't love their defense, specifically the corners. They were banged up on the defensive line. I think Ed Oliver didn't play last night. They have a good defensive front, healthy. But that back end, you let Stefon Diggs get 150 yards. That's a problem. And it's the Bills have been able to do whatever they wanted to do against the AFC East the last couple of years. Granted, the Dolphins have made the playoffs, but they've had no competition. And if the Patriots, knowing if they found their quarterback finally, and they can continue to use those draft picks to add skill position players for Drake Maye, and maybe even trade for players, if you're Josh Allen and the Bills, like, you gotta, the time is now. Like, we gotta win. Like, we have to win ASAP. This year is the year. When you have teams like Kansas City, who we don't know what they're going to look like under full strength. We've seen what's happened with the Chargers. They can be had. Denver, they can be had. And this is the NFL period this year. I think the NFL is wide open. I don't think one team is like absolutely dominant like the Eagles of last year. I just don't think every team is beatable this year. I don't think there's like a bona fide like, oh, yep, that team is going to the Super Bowl this year. There's not. Because everybody's Super Bowl pick, from the Ravens, Chiefs, Bills, all of these teams have flaws. And they are evident. So if you're the Bills, the time is now. And something that Peter Schrager brought up on First Take this morning, it's like, you had the chance to win this game, to go undefeated, and it could be pretty pivotal for you to get the first overall seed this year. And losing a game like this to the Patriots, you know, that's no slouch. That's a big deal. But that's something that we need to monitor with the Bills, is games like this. Whenever you get too Josh Allen reliant, and you don't have that player that you can really go to make a play, you get yourself in positions like this to where it's a close game. You're not able to make the play that you need to make, and you had to settle for a field goal, and the Patriots were able to just go down the field, led by Drake Maye, and score the game-winning field goal. So, yeah, I think the Patriots are good. I think essentially the Patriots are pretty much one piece away, a couple of pieces away from just these next couple years. If I'm a Patriots fan, I'm happy, and I'm excited for the future under Mike Vrabel and the guys.